Okay, so your question to me is, Rashon, how do I know what to invest in? So I'm going to show you some things that I look at in order to identify whether I want to invest in that company or not. But here's a major piece of advice to you. If you are a novice investor and you've never invested before, just look at your clothes. Look at what you're eating. Look at what you're driving. Look at your electronics. You want to invest in what you're already a consumer of, okay? So if you purchase things on Amazon, it's probably something you want to invest on. If you have an iPhone, it's probably something you want to invest in. If you have Samsung or an Android, obviously that's something you want to invest in. If you have a PC or a Mac, you probably want to invest in Microsoft. If you're eating things like Pillsbury Doughboy, Kellogg's, right? So you invest in Kellogg's cereal. So whatever it is that you're already consuming, you trust in that company because you purchased their product. So that means that you should be able to trust in them when you're investing in them as well, because you're already spending your money with that company. Does that make sense? So for me, I'm an Apple guy. I have a Mac, I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have AirPods, and I have an Apple Watch, right? So we know I'm a big Apple everything. So I'm probably pushing the needle when it comes to their stock price alone, just on my own. So when we're looking at Apple, right? So let's look at this. So how do I decipher whether Apple is a good stock for me to purchase? I got a couple $100. I want to get started in the market, and I want to decide what to purchase. So first of all, right now, as we can see, Apple is trading at $127.89. It's down about 1% on the day, about $1. It's down about $1 on the day. One of the things that I will always say is buy low, sell high, right? So the market is at exponential record pace right now. So do we buy the market? Yes. But we have to buy the right companies in the market. What companies aren't at its peak performance? What companies are at flat performance? What companies are underperforming that we know will come back, right? So when we look at some of these stable blue chip companies that are in the Dow Jones, we can break it down and say, okay, we know that big tech is pushing the price, but what are when I say big tech, I mean Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, okay? So we know that big tech is pushing the price. So what are the other companies inside of the Dow Jones doing? There's 26 other companies. So let's look into them. One of the companies that's in the Dow Jones is Apple. So how are they performing up against what they regularly perform on? And also, how are they performing up against the 500 most publicly traded top companies on the market, right? The S&P 500. So here's what I look at. I look at the beta. So right now, Apple is trading at 1.28. If you're trading at a 1, you're trading in correlation with the S&P 500. If you're trading above a 1, which is what Apple is trading at 1.28, they're trading at about 28% more volatile than the actual market, which is what we consider the S&P 500. Okay, so I look at that. I'm like, okay, they have it's a positive correlation, but they're a little bit more volatile. Maybe that's a little bit risky, but typically when you're under 1.5, so when you're under, being at about 5 percentage points away from the market, then you're still in pretty good shape when you talk about systematic risk. And we'll discuss risk a little bit later down the line. Another thing that I like to look at is, when does the earnings report come out, right? Because the earnings report and how the experts, you don't have to know what's in the earnings report. You don't have to understand how to read financials, but I would just pay attention to the reaction of the earnings report. Did they underperform or did they overperform in the previous quarter? So I like to know, okay, when is their earnings report coming out? So that way I can maybe read a blog or an article that talks about the performance of that particular company that I'm watching or thinking about investing in. So for Apple, their earnings report comes out January 25th. So that's 27th. So that's pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Another thing that I may want to look at, if I'm looking to derive additional income from an investment, if I want some passive income from an investment, I will look and see if the investment is giving me something called a dividend. A dividend is something that is given out on a quarterly basis, right? Based on the company's quarterly earnings, if they are going to give dividends out. So Apple has a pretty good dividend yield. They give out about 82, it looks like about 82 cent if you look at where the market is here. 82 cent per share per quarter. Okay, not the greatest, but it's also something, right? And the more shares we earn as we continue to grow our portfolio, we continue to grow that passive income. One of the major things though, guys, if we're just talking about investing and looking to grow and multiply our investment, what the growth is, how to get ROI, which is return on our investment, which is why we're investing in the market, I'll look at the company's 52-week high and 52-week low. That lets me know that, is it correlated to the records that's happening with the market? Is it just as bad as the market is doing when the market is doing bad? Or, where is it? Does it have room for growth? Because if it was here before, in most cases, it's going to get back here when you talk about the highs, right? So when you look at Apple, currently the 52-week high is $138, okay? So you have $138 that Apple was trading at some point over the last 52 weeks. And now it's trading at $127. So how I look at it is, okay, I have about $11 per share of growth if it hits its peak that it's hit so far ever. The peak that it's ever hit, if it hits that peak, then I know I'm good to go. All right. And then also I look at its low. So how far off is it from its low versus its high, where you see that it's at $53. So that's something for me. Those are some of the little things that I look at when trying to decide if I'm going to invest in a company. So quick recap. All right. And then we're going to close out this segment. And we'll get to preparing you emotionally, financially, to be able to invest in our next segment, okay? So quick recap. 1, you can invest in just about anything that has the opportunity or probability of multiplying your return on investment, okay? Like commodities, cryptocurrency, securities, bonds, things of that nature. What is a stock? A stock is a proportional fraction or a fraction of a particular company. And a share is just a group of stocks, right? So a share is going to be units of stock, okay? That's what a share is. All right, so now let's break down, how do I know what to invest in, Rashon? And where are these companies connected? The Dow Jones, which is a great place to start. You have 30 blue chip companies that are typically well known and stable financially that you can look into, right? You have the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest publicly traded companies, right? And then you have the NASDAQ, which has thousands of our top companies that are being traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And one of the things that I didn't mention is that the NASDAQ is 50% tech. All right, cool. So now I picked the stock and I want to know if it's a good investment for me. So again, some things that I'll look at: the 52-week high and low, the beta, which again is connected to the S&P 500, which we consider to be the measure of the market. So a beta of 1 means that this particular company is trading in correlation to the volatility of the market. So if the market is volatile, very volatile, or not, it's trading close to what the S&P is trading to when it comes to volatility, okay? Anything above 1.5 is more volatile than what we're looking for, pending what your risk tolerance is, all right? So we want to look at the market capitalization just as a known fact to know how big the company is, okay? You want to look at the beta, which is connected to the S&P, which as novice investors, I always say, look at what the S&P is doing compared to what the stock is that you want to get involved in is doing. What is the growth of the S&P? How did it perform over the last quarter? And that takes us to earnings. If you're looking for additional income, dividend yield. And then again, 52-week low, 52-week high. Guys, this was our first segment of Growth Tips with Rashon. I hope you were able to take something from this segment. And please remember to subscribe, hit the notification button, and come back for more growth tips with Rashon. So together we can grow and gain wealth. In the meantime, keep your head up, believe in yourself, and remember, you are only one opportunity away from achieving your wildest dreams. See you in the next segment. Talk to you soon.